Hello and welcome to the Growing Green Landscapes Podcast with Jeremiah Jennings. While still in his early 20s, Jeremiah already runs a successful six-figure lawn maintenance company. Listen in as he and his guests share the things that have brought them success that can help you in your business. As a young entrepreneur in the green industry, Jeremiah emphasizes the tips and tricks involved in running a lawn maintenance business while discussing the principles applying to all small businesses. If you're wanting to grow, become profitable and professional, you're in the right place. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another show today. First off, before we hop into the program, I just want to go through it like I do on our Fridays here, and I want to read a few of our recent ratings and reviews that we have coming in, and we have some good reviews coming in here recently, and I always want to take time and say thank you to everyone who's leaving those, because without those, we don't get pushed out to the community that we're growing to every day, and we don't get to build these relationships and stuff, and we don't get to grow the way we really can when we get these ratings and reviews. So first off, I want to start by reading a few of them that we've gotten in. We've gotten a few here recently, and I just want to start with a couple here from the beginning and work our way down through a few of them. So first off, we have a 5-star from Dusty with Precision Lawn Care in Wisconsin, and it says, "Thanks for the great info for the first-year guy like me. Keep it up. Thank you so much." And that's awesome to hear, guys. I am loving to hear that these first-year guys are listening in, and that y'all are out there, and the content that we're putting out is helping you, and can't wait to hear how it helps your business maybe in the years to come, how you grow through the form of hearing our content, hearing everybody else's content out there, and how much it helps you. And here, let's slide on over to another one, and this one is a really good one. He just titled it "Keeping It Real." It's a 5-star from TRB Lawn Care, and he says, "Excellent job. I appreciate the real-life advice from a younger guy. Great job on keeping it real and sharing your struggles and failures. We all have them, but it helps me to learn from you talking about it. I'm a Christian as well, so I love that you're talking about the Lord and putting Him in first in life and business. All this content helps me as I grow my business and my own podcast I just started. Thanks. Keep up the good stuff." That's awesome, TRB. I don't get a name for you, but that's awesome. Thank you for leaving that review for us. Glad to hear that it's helping you. And whatever your podcast is, man, hit me up. Let me know what it is, and I'll go ahead and support you, because it was always great to hear others in the industry and how we can help each other. So, shoot me that podcast name. Maybe we'll do a little shout out or collaboration here in the future. So let me know what that is, and we'll get hooked up on it. And then our last one that we're going to read today. This might be my biggest rating ever. You know, it's the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Jameson came on here and left us a review, and it is so refreshing to me to hear that other guys in the industry are supporting me, and I just love it, because I want to be one big community that supports each other, and we just grow this whole podcast community together. And the title of his is actually refreshing. That's what he says here, and it's a 5-star, and he says, "Jeremiah's podcast is enjoyable to listen to. He's a humble, hungry young man who brings on inspiring guests." That's what I love. That's what I want. I want to come across as humble. I want to come across as I'm not bigger than anybody else out there. I'm one of you guys out there that's doing the same stuff, going through the same struggles in real life, and I always want to have on good guests. That's what one of my biggest topics, one of my biggest goals is on the podcast is always bring on high-quality guests that can bring a lot of knowledge from their mouths to your ears, because the guests that I bring on, I want to definitely want to have some younger guys and stuff that they can relate to some of you out there, but I want to bring on guys with knowledge who've been in the industry for a long time, and they can help you fix the things that you don't need to be doing and give you advice on what not to do. So thanks for all those reviews, guys. Keep them coming in, and we'll keep reading them out here on Friday's shows. I really appreciate it. Love the way we're growing here recently. We're on the up and up, and hopefully we can get back up here into these Apple Podcast rankings and just get up here and compete with the big dogs like Fullerton Unfiltered and Kid Contractor and the Green Industry Podcast with none other, Paul Jameson. So thank you all for listening, and let's just hop right into the show today. We have a great guest. He's a big guest, a big name, and I am so excited. Y'all just stay tuned. We got a banger of an interview coming up, and I just can't wait for it to come out and y'all hear it, and hopefully it'll bless you like it blessed me. So let's just hop right into today's episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Growing Green Landscapes podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode today here on the podcast. It is a true honor to come to y'all 2 times a week here, bringing the best quality content that we can. As we've said, I love bringing on guests and having guest interviews. I love doing solo episodes as well, but the guest interviews is really what I get the most value out of and what helps me, especially listening to other podcasts. I love listening to guests get on there and having a good conversation back and forth, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to hop into it right here. We're not going to waste any time. We have Naylor Taliaferro with LCR Media and Clean Cut Lawn Care. Naylor, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And you did a good job on the name there. I know it's tough. It's a mouthful. And if you've ever listened to Paul Jameson on the Green Industry podcast, you probably have no idea how to pronounce my name at this point.
Or Jason Krills or anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, he's becoming infamous for that. So it's a good thing. We'll have to get him a shirt or something for a GIE. How do you pronounce that? Or
yeah, that's right.
Clever.
Well, in all honesty, it did take me a long time to figure. Before I actually saw your name on paper, I heard people say it, and I was like, "What do they say?" Like, I literally was like, "What are they saying? Like, what is his last name?" I was like, "Is it a nickname? Is that his actual last? Like, what are they saying?" And then I saw it on paper, and it made sense. So.
Yeah, well, I think in Paul's defense, and you probably can relate to this because you're also from Alabama, the accent that you folks have, which is a great accent, everyone all over the country has, apparently I have, like everyone's kind of has like their version of some sort of an accent. So, but I guess Jason Creel's got like a little, like the way he says it, I guess Paul literally listened to it and thought it was like more, I don't know, like even Jason was like, maybe I missed it. He said, I pronounce it. Naylor pronounces my name better than I do. I'm just, so it's just, when you listen to things, just like what you were saying, you listen to people say my name and you're like, what are they actually saying? So I guess maybe in Paul's defense, he just did the best he could, for that. So.
Well, we won't rip Paul too much on here. He's a good guy. We all love Paul, but
right. Oh yeah. But we got to give him hard times sometimes, right?
Exactly. He can't be always getting the rewards and the praise because he just he's got a successful podcast. He's got a lot of good stuff going for him. But when you're winning like that, you gotta have some challenges, and everybody's got to give you a little crap here and now. But
right.
Well, man, I'm excited for this podcast. It's a true honor to have you on here. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to bring to the guest. So we're recording this live. We're right here leading up to GIE. We're obviously going to dive into that a little bit today, but when I have guests come on, they always ask me, they're like, do you have some things that you want to talk about? They'll ask me in advance, do you have a list of things, anything like that? And I'm like, sometimes I do, but most of the time I just want to get on here and talk. I just want to get on here, have a good conversation, and really just shoot the bull and hang out. And that's the kind of stuff that I love listening to. Just feel like I'm in the room with the guys and just hanging out and having a good time while trying to bring some good value at the same time. So that's what I want to do today, Naylor. I want to kind of get to know you a little better and let everybody hear your story and hit on a few different things that's been happening this year and what's coming up. But kind of just take us into, if you want to, a kind of a short backstory on, I know your story, obviously, but somebody out there might not. So how you got started in the green industry, what were you doing previous, and kind of what led you into it, and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, probably the briefest, summarizing like my whole life, right? But the most recent thing that really transitioned me to being an entrepreneur and lawn care specifically. Before that, for over 15 years, I was in retail management. It was just something I'd started out of college, not management, but I just, like a lot of people, or I was in college, a lot of people just, start a part-time job in retail, whatever, like cashier, whatever the deal is. And so I just did that while I was in college, and I quickly kind of rose through the ranks and got promoted to different supervisor positions and different things like that. And I saw a career potential there, but I was single and, I wasn't married or had kids. So like my life kind of, transitioned toward that, but retail was going in a different direction, right? So retail was going one way and my life was going another way. And I never really pictured myself to be in retail for the rest of my life. I just like the leadership aspect of it. The fact that I was, being able to lead people, I was identified early on to do that. And I enjoyed that part. I didn't really enjoy like all the hours and all the other crazy stuff, some of the customer issues, there's ups and downs to every job. So there was parts of it that I liked and parts of it that I didn't. So ultimately, everything kind of came to a head in my life and retail and all that. And I just had to make a tough choice, because I mean, literally it came to the point. I guess this is a pretty important part of my story, so people really like understand. But I was like literally on the verge of having like a meltdown, a mental breakdown, emotional breakdown. Like I never saw my family. I was working all the time. I was an assistant manager at JCPenney. My office was bigger than the general store manager's office, which I guess should have told me something right then and there, that I'd be living there basically. And I was just working like 5, 6, 7, sometimes days a week. And even if I wasn't there, people were, I'd get texts from my manager or, everyone. It was like never ending. I'm like, come on, guys. Like it's not, surgery. We're not firefighters or doctors. Like it's not an emergency. It's just retail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. Like, gosh, the customer's freaking out. Okay. They'll get over it. You know what I mean? Like but it really became very stressful like that. Like for whatever reason, retail management anyway, has a way of making you feel like it's almost life or death, like, and the customers really just can stress you out. So I came to a critical mass, I guess you would say, in my life. And I remember my store manager said to me right towards the end of it all, he sat down in my office, looked at the pictures of my family in my office and said, "You have a beautiful family." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, where are you going with this? Because he had like a little pause, a couple second pause. And he's like, "You're going to have to choose. It's either them or here or this, because you can't do both. It's just too demanding, one or the other." And I was just like, that really like put everything in perspective for me. And I'm just like, holy cow. Like I was speechless, honestly, at that point. I had no idea what to say. I just kind of was just like, okay, just kind of nodding my head.
Yeah, what kind of question is that?
Yeah. I'm just like, wow, okay then. And then he eventually left. But so that I think that right there, I think was kind of like the catalyst of me needing to leave, like to find a way to exit retail and go into something different, And at the time I had already enjoyed, mowing lawns and all that kind of stuff. I was a homeowner, right? That definitely was like the envy, quote unquote, of the neighborhood, right? Like everyone loved my lawn. All the housewives were asking my wife for tips and all that kind of stuff for how to make their lawn look better. So I was that guy, unfortunately. That probably some other guys in the neighborhood was like, "Oh, come on, man," But I just kind of loved grass and learned it all on my own. A lot of trial and error, going to Lowe's and Home Depot and buying books and buying this product and that product and this gadget and this gizmo and just doing whatever I could to make my lawn look great. And so I just kind of did all that from a homeowner perspective. But I always thought it would be interesting to transition that into some sort of career. And before all of this, I have had other entrepreneur ideas in my head. Like I wanted to be a personal trainer at one point, got all the stuff to start training to be certified. And then I thought about opening up my own gym, and I invented something for exercise and had a patent pending for it. No one ever bought it or anything. So I kind of just let that go. But so I just had, and I was a store manager, an assistant manager, a store manager. I was all over the place for all that time. So I had a lot of business mindset for a while, and a lot of innovative ideas, entrepreneurial ideas. So I think all of that was just kind of my blood forever. So kind of all finally came together, and I just was like, it'd be really cool to just like mow lawns for a living, right? Like, why not just have like a lawn care business, and back then, as weird as that sounds, it was probably, I started in 2013, 2014, something like that. And cause I was part-time for a year and then went to full-time. But shortly before that, we'll say maybe 2010 ish, maybe 2008, 2010 was kind of when I was like rounding out the final steps of my retail career, where I was like really like coming to a crashing halt there. And that's when I was thinking about an exit strategy, but there wasn't really that many lawn care companies at that point, surprisingly as it is, right? That was 10, 11, 12 years ago, maybe. There wasn't that many guys driving around. There wasn't anyone actually driving around with a truck and a trailer just mowing lawns. There's only like landscape companies, or at least where I was from in my area, which I'm not from Virginia originally. I'm from the state of New York. So there just was, it was all big landscaping companies. It was like frowned down upon, like to have like a landscape company, like, oh, you've got a landscape company, taking care of your property. Wow. You're all fancy, and then, but so that was it. You had to have like the whole package. There was not like, oh, can you just mow my lawn or can you treat my lawn? None of that existed.
Oh,
Or
how
it
the
was
times have changed.
yeah, exactly. It was very few and far between if it did exist. But now it's totally different, right? Now it's like there's all these specialized companies. You just fertilize, or you just mow, or you do a little bit of everything, or whatever. You know what I mean? You just pick your thing that you want to do and do it. And now it's like, oh, you don't have someone taking care of your lawn? Like, oh my gosh, like, why don't you? Now it's like a whole new age of having all the service industry is blown up. Like, have someone take care of your house, like cleaning your house, taking care of your maintenance of your lawn care property outside. Like, it's all changed. I think people are valuing their time more. So it was definitely a great time for me to get into this industry, 8 years ago. And so I started part-time. I was just mowing a handful of lawns and still working retail management. I would literally load up my Husqvarna push mower. I'd have the handles folded down, stuck in the back of my Jeep Compass with my Ryobi hand blower and trimmer, have a change of clothes. And a lot of times I would just like change in my office and then run downstairs real quick with no one hopefully seeing me and stopping me, and hop in the car and the Jeep and go and try and bang out a couple of yards before dark. And on my 1 or 2 days off, if I was able to get any and didn't have any other plans, try to mow the lawns then. So it was like the weekend warrior mentality at that point, but like I didn't have weekends. So I just had to squeeze it in whenever.
Yeah, fit it in when you can.
On the week. Yeah, I usually worked on the weekends in retail. It's like every other weekend, some made up holiday in retail that you had to work. You could take the time off. Like, man. So that was kind of that. And I just realized, wow, I really do enjoy this. I'm only doing like 6 lawns. Imagine if I had good equipment and I had, just like a plan, and more time, I could really make something of this, make a nice full-time career out of this. So that's when I just straight up quit. Like right around the holidays, I just put in my 2 weeks notice and said, I'm out of here. I can't. And again, that at that point, that was shortly after that manager gave me kind of that ultimatum and all that. But like I said, prior to that, I was doing it part-time for a year. So it was all kind of good timing. My wife had gotten a full-time job. She had for a little over a year at that point. So if she didn't have that, I probably would not have made that leap, because the boat wasn't as close to the dock as a lot of people probably would have wanted or want or have, meaning like financially and a whole business already established. Like, I just did 1 year part-time, knew that I could do it if I put enough. I just had this feeling in my head, but still I wouldn't have been able to do it financially if it wasn't for my wife being able to kind of supplement, because I couldn't replace my income immediately. What I mean? From my retail management income, which was basically paying everything. And my wife was just all extra at that point. And she's like, wow, we're living the dream now, and then I'm like, well, really, I'm about to have a breakdown. So not so much. So, but,
and you had kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
we have 2 kids.
It wasn't just you. It wasn't just like you were quitting and you could go eat beanie weenies for a while to survive. Like you had a family to support.
Exactly. So it was scary. It was, but fear motivated me to be successful.
Yeah.
I used to say that a lot in the early days, especially because I transitioned into social media kind of right after that. So I just quit and spent that whole winter focusing on coming up with a plan. How do we get customers? What services do I want to provide? What equipment should I have? How should I price this stuff? Estimating and invoicing software right out the gate, just trying to be professional right out the gate, like finding a logo, which is the same logo I've had this whole time. I've had different color schemes, but the same logo, what kind of uniforms, like all that kind of stuff, that business cards, all that stuff, flyers, whatever. I did all that, for a couple of months over the winter, like basically January, February, so like maybe a little bit of December. So really like two good solid months. Cause in March, I really did a lot of odds and ends and pruning and cleanups and, the stuff that everybody does when they first start out. You kind of just take anything and everything to get the money coming in and get your name out there, get your foot in the door and try different neighborhoods and all that. But fortunately, like I said, my wife had a full-time job, so she was able to kind of keep the lights on, so to speak. So while I was making as much money as I could, which I made a decent amount, but it took me a couple of years to back to the point where I was at. So that's kind of like everything in a nutshell, and however many minutes that was that I rattled all that off, and I just went full time and haven't looked back since. I got a commercial mower. trailer. So I got a walk behind, a belt drive Toro walk behind, 48-inch, got a 5x10 single axle trailer, traded in my Jeep Compass for an F-150, like a 1999 F-150. It was such a good deal that they gave me like a check left over because the Jeep was worth more, because it was a much newer Jeep with a lot less miles than a 99 F-150 at like 2013. That was 14 years old or whatever with over 200,000 miles. But I'm like, I just need a truck to get me through a few years here, get me started. And that thing lasted me 5 years. I was surprised. So, and that's how it all went down. And I also had some vacation time, which helped me get through the winter. I just wanted to point that out too. So just so people have all this in perspective, because you have to have a plan. You have to have, I didn't just completely like, jump off
up and
the
leave.
cliff.
Yeah.
Right. And, I kind of had a couple of things like, okay, my wife's got a job. I'm going to plan. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to start making money in this business. I already had a handful of people that I was doing part-time anyway. I was like, how can I grow that to a, full-time, schedule and get the income growing? What kind of equipment, all that stuff. But then I also knew that I was getting all this vacation time that JCPenney pays out. A lot of companies pay your vacation time out if you haven't used it. So I had plenty of vacation because, like I said, every weekend was like something that you couldn't take off.
They give it to you, but they won't let you use it.
Yeah, exactly. You just accrue it all the time and you can barely use any of it. So it was like a month's worth or maybe even more of salary. So it was a lot of time. So that helped me get through the winter too. So that was still like my full income without me even technically working in addition to my wife. So that really helped pushing me into the spring until I actually started generating more revenue in lawn care. And then that's it.
Now, were y'all still in Virginia when you made that move, or were you? I'm not still in
New York.
Were you still in New York, or were you in Virginia yet?
No, we were in Virginia. So we had moved. Yeah, we moved to Virginia a couple of years prior to that. Totally unrelated. Just we always, my wife and I always liked warm weather, like warmer weather for a longer period of time.
Virginia is not warm. Alabama's warm. Florida's warm.
Well, no. But coming from New York, we say warmer, longer of the sea. We enjoy all 4 seasons, not just 2. My New York diehard New Yorkers. I mean, we love it. I get it, but I love New York too. But it's hot or cold. That's it. Winter or summer. Boom. You have 2 seasons. You maybe experience spring and fall for a day if you're lucky, and that's about it. So there's really no transition. But anytime we came to Virginia, like to go to Virginia Beach or something like that, it was great because you had all 4 seasons. You just had like a nice transition. Oh, look at the color of the leaves. Like slowly transitioning, not change, drop, and it's done. You know what I mean? Like in a week, so we really enjoy being outside a lot more. We also enjoy all 4 seasons. And I wanted to go to Florida. I've always liked Florida, but my wife's like, that's a little too hot all the time. So let's just meet somewhere in the middle. So we figured Carolinas, Virginia. We kind of did a lot of research, and she knew some people in the Richmond, Virginia area and things like that. And we came out here and explored some of the outskirt towns, like Midlothian, Virginia is where we technically live, which is a nice town like outside of the city of Richmond, because that's a little crazy still. But Midlothian's a nice town, tons of suburbs and country and all kinds of like rural and suburban, all kind of mixed in there depending on where you go in Midlothian. So we had moved for life. Before our kids get too old, let's move down here and start like our second chapter of our life here. And we had a good time. And coincidentally, that helps out for lawn care, right? Because it extends your lawn mowing, your lawn maintenance season anyway. I mean, there's really no snow or winter type stuff, which is a struggle. But if I was in New York, I would have been forced to have to pick up snow and get into snow and all that because the mowing season is so much shorter. And then you have this huge snow season of just pounded with snow. So I would have had to invest in all that, which is a whole nother animal on itself.
I was going to ask, so y'all don't get much snow? Y'all don't have enough snow to do anything? Really?
No, I mean,
y'all did in Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, our average total is 9 inches.
Oh, see, that's a lot for us now. Now for
well,
me,
it's a lot for you.
If we get 2 inches, everything shuts down. So
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we get 9 inches all at once, which is typically what happens, then it shuts everything down.
Y'all just have
for like
one big
week.
event.
Yeah, we usually have one big event a year, a couple of dustings throughout the season. Last year we had zip. I don't even think we had any accumulation. We might have had a dusting or 2, which technically could have been an inch. I don't know what the actual accumulation reading was for last year, but we've had a few years since I've been in lawn care, the last 7-8 years or whatever, that we've had like hardly or no snow. And then we've had a year where we had all of our whole year accumulation, like I said, in one event.
Yeah.
So it really all depends. I mean, if I've said this to a lot of people, if you have commercial properties, then you can make some money doing snow, because if there's any kind of precipitation, and it's freezing, then you have to at least put salt down on parking lots and walkways and stuff like that. But the homeowners aren't paying anyone to come out and plow their driveway or snow blow their driveway or whatever, unless they can't get out of their driveway, which means you need to get the whole 9 inches all at once. Sometimes we get over a foot. At one time we've exceeded our average in one snowfall, but then that's it. We never get any snow for the rest of the year. We didn't get any snow prior to that. It's like one of those things, but now people are trapped with a foot of snow in their driveway, and then you're working all day getting them cleaned out. And that's happened a couple of summers, a couple of seasons, a couple of winters, but you cannot count on that at all. Last year, all the commercial guys I know were hurting because there was no snow. They put down salt a little bit here and there, and that's it. So.
Well, that's cool. I did not realize that about the snow. I could have sworn that y'all got more than that. But I kind of want to hit on something that you were talking about here when you were talking about your transition into the lawn care business. And you can hit on as much as you want or as little as you want here. Maybe a little bit of a personal question, but I think it's a really good topic that if there's anybody out there that is on the fence about going into the leaving like you're saying, a good stable job and making that jump into the green industry or whatever it may be, to be an entrepreneur. So you were saying you have kids, you have a wife, you have a family to support. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. And I was listening to, everybody knows who Gary Vee is. Gary Vee is a legend when it comes to social media things. And he was talking to a lady the other day, and he was saying, the lady was talking about she was staying at her job because she had the constant paycheck. That's the only reason she was staying. And he was like, man, you got to lose your pride, and you got to go work at a Magic game or a basketball game and take popcorn to people in the stands. Like, you gotta take the lower income, put your pride behind you so you can take your next step on your entrepreneurship journey, because that's what she was wanting to do, was become a photographer. So was there any point in your process of that transition where you kind of had to swallow your pride of, I'm not going to be the sole income, the main breadwinner for my family for a little bit of time, and my wife is going to take that over? And did you have to kind of quote unquote swallow your pride? And I'm sure it's something that you and your wife talked about in making this decision, and it was a decision that was, obviously, if you're married, you make that decision together. You don't just leave. But what could you tell somebody that's out there and kind of in your same situation of on the fence of quitting their stable job, as you would say, to go out and create their own income? But like you're saying, there's that time of you have to build your business, and there might be a time where you're not going to be the main breadwinner. And if maybe that's just a personal conviction that you want to be. Everybody's not that way. I know a lot of people who the women go out and work, and good for them. They're the main breadwinner, and that's awesome. They can do that if they want to, but everybody's different. So if there's somebody out there that is struggling with that, what is some advice you could give them on the whole quote unquote swallowing your pride thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like throughout this whole process, there's been times where I've just, had to, I guess, quote unquote, swallow my pride. And I think and sometimes I've done it on purpose or done things, I guess, a better way to say it is to be uncomfortable. Like, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, be uncomfortable, because it kind of makes you grow and get used to certain things. It just strengthens you, right? I mean, being uncomfortable, going to the gym and lifting weights or exercising or whatever, that's uncomfortable. It makes you uncomfortable. Your muscles are uncomfortable, but they grow and get stronger every time you do it. That's the whole point. So comfort, nothing happens. You just get lazy. You stay there and you never grow. You never move. You never get stronger. Nothing ever progresses in your life. So there's always I feel like there's always going to be a lot of things that make you uncomfortable in life that you really have no control over, or that that you didn't create necessarily. But then I feel like there's other ways that you can create uncomfortableness. So like just one example, somewhere in the middle of this time frame, of the last 8 years or whatever. One time I had to drop my truck off, whatever, one of my earlier trucks. May have been the F-150 or whatever. And I dropped it off, and I don't remember what the scenario was. I guess my wife had worked not too far I'm not too far driving, but it was far walking, but not too far, basically on the same road, same busy stretch of kind of like mini highway road. Like it was a route, like Route 60, like you can only go 45 miles an hour, but it's like boom, boom, 2 lanes each way. It's like tons of businesses and stuff everywhere, whatever. So I dropped off my truck and just, my wife was at work. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to bother her to come, pick me up or whatever. But so I walked from there all the way to her job, and I could have went the back way so that I could have been like hidden, and like whatever. But instead, I forced myself to walk on the sidewalk on the main strip, and it made me super uncomfortable because it's like at that point everyone kind of knew who I was, either from social media and or from my business. So it's like when they saw me, anyone that knew me, they would drive by and see me walking and be like, oh man, I wonder what the heck happened to him. Like where is his truck, or what's this or what's that? And
his wife kicked him out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just an exercise on being uncomfortable, doing something that would make me super uncomfortable, like going into a crowded room of people you've never met before, and you just go in there and just like, all right, this is super awkward, and you just start introducing yourself or whatever. Like things like that help you grow as a person. But as far as the business goes, I mean, that's just more of a general thing. But as far as the business goes, I mean, when people it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what when you make the leap. So, I mean, you can get the boat as close to the dock as possible to make you feel less uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what. Just make sure you have, make sure that you're not going to fall on your face, have your ducks in a row, all that stuff. I mean, like things, some people might think like, oh, everything worked out great for me, for him, for me, whatever. But it's like, I still had a little bit of a plan, but at the end of the day, I didn't really have a choice. Like I literally, I kind of went to my, and I've talked to Keith Kalfas about this before, and he talks about this all the time. Like it's like human nature. We have to hit rock bottom before we can start climbing out of the hole for some reason. Like we can't stop halfway down the hole and be like, hold on a minute, I don't want to go any lower. Let's just start making, let's start
to come all the way down.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about human beings that, or just life or whatever the deal is, that we just end up getting stuck all the way going head down to the bottom, hitting rock bottom, and then there's nowhere else to go but up. So as long as we survive that fall anyway, and we can start going up. So, I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. Like I don't know if I would have made that transition, to be perfectly honest, if it wasn't for my boss saying what he said, and things just really just a combination of so many things just completely, hitting me all at that time frame. I don't know if I would have made that jump, quote unquote, or if I would have dragged out more. But again, I already was doing it part-time, right? So I might have dragged that out a little bit further or whatever. But I mean, when I started doing lawns part-time, I wasn't even thinking about, I started doing it and it had nothing to do with I need to get out of retail or anything. It actually was because of my wife, who, when we were still up in the New York area years prior to that, before we moved, we just kind of joked about it. Somehow it came up in conversation. I think my mother-in-law had mentioned something, because I was mowing the lawn and it was like a Sunday or something, and everyone was going to the pool, and they were like, and I'm like, I'll meet you guys there. I've got to finish mowing the lawn. And she's like, oh, I feel so bad for you. You must hate, it must be so hard or whatever to mow the lawn and all this stuff. And I was like, I actually enjoy it. I'd rather be at the pool with you guys right now, but I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. I enjoy mowing my lawn, striping it, making it look nice with my 21 inch, or 22 inch Husqvarna mower or whatever the deal is. Cause I had a small, decent sized yard, but it wasn't too crazy at the time. And she's like, oh, wow, really? I didn't know that. Oh, well, would you do it if someone paid you? I don't even know why she even asked me such a thing, but that was like, made me think like, oh yeah, I would actually, but no one really did that. Like I said, at that point, but I was still like, yeah, that'd be cool. And it kind of made me start fantasizing about that. So like, that was another thing to help click and all that. And my wife and I started talking to my wife about it, and she kind of knew that was like an idea I flirted with in my head. It came with some random name at the time that I don't even remember. I think maybe it was like Keeping It Green or something like that, which I've seen someone on Instagram that has like Keeping It Green as the name of their company. So that's ironic, but then we fast forward, we moved to Virginia and kind of forgot all about that stuff. But, and then I had that horrible boss, and I had horrible bosses actually leading up to that. Unfortunately, he was just like the final one that gave me that ultimatum. But then someone posted on Facebook in the neighborhood that we lived in does anyone know, anyone recommend someone to mow lawns, because we just moved in and we don't have a mower, or our mower's broken, or whatever the scenario was. And for whatever reason, my wife was like, hey, we still, I still had all my stuff, my mower, my trimmer, all that stuff. Like I said, that's what I was using to start part-time, but I took that from our old house and brought it with me when we moved down here, because that's my pride and joy, right? So there's my babies there, that equipment. And she was like, do you want me, someone's asking about mowing lawns, do you want me to give them your name? And I could have said no, and you and I would not be ever talking like this. We would never even know each other. But I said yes. I was very uncomfortable, but I said, okay. I remember I wasn't even happy about it. Like, I was just so depressed and miserable at that point in my life. And I was just like, sure, or okay, or whatever. Horrible response. Probably I wasn't like, yeah, I wasn't all happy. I was just like, whatever. And she graciously enough did it. And that was my first customer, was that dude. And he, blasted me all over the place. And I started getting more people here and there. And so that was all kind of like, that really had nothing to do with me. Like saying, man, I got to get out. I got to find a way. I got to get the boat closer to the dock. It was very circumstantial. It was kind of like life kind of pushing me as I was falling deeper and deeper, closer to rock bottom. It was all starting to line up. So a lot of people can talk a lot of things about purpose and life and the universe and fate and all these things, but I definitely feel like a lot of things lined up well for me to position myself to make that leap and just keep, hit the ground running. So I and not everyone's going to have that circumstance, but it seems like most people hold out to the last minute anyway.
Yeah.
But just make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. I mean, you're going to be uncomfortable. Embrace uncomfortability. Fear led me to be successful because I had kids and a wife and all that, and a house. And we were renting at that time because we just moved. We didn't want to buy a house right away until we got a feel for the area, but we still had, rent and all this stuff to pay
still
for.
Bills due.
Yeah. So it was pretty horrifying. My wife was terrified. I mean, it was definitely not an easy scenario to do, but I had no choice. And she knew I had no choice because she knew I had literally hit rock bottom. I mean, things were rough, with our relationship at that time and everything. I mean, it affects your whole life when you're in that situation. I mean, I was just the worst, miserable, nastiest person. I didn't even recognize who I was anymore. I was becoming a different person. And that's when I realized I got to stop. I literally just completely quit and just started over. And I basically started my life all over again. Lawn care has given me a second lease on life. And everything kind of fell in place ever since then. I started listening and reading and watching motivational things constantly on YouTube and podcasts, which was very limited at the time, audiobooks, all this stuff. I was just consuming myself with all of these kind of self-help and all that motivational things too. And before Gary Vee was even a thing, I mean, he was, but he wasn't the big Gary Vee now. He was doing wine stuff or whatever at that point, And
wine.com or whatever.
Yeah. So, but I was just, whatever was out there at the time, I was consuming that, 8 years ago. And I was just really, it was just really driving me, and things just really started falling in place, and everything I tried was successful or just fell in place. Doors were just opening up everywhere. My business was growing. I was having a time of my life. Then social media, and that just blew up, and not necessarily from subscribers, but just blew up with all the opportunities I had in life and all the new people that I was meeting and friendships I was making. So,
but now let's not jump too fast though. You're saying everything fell in place. People out there don't think that everything's all rosy and peachy. You had your trials, you've had your struggles, you've had all the downfalls and that type of stuff. So what it sounds like from where you're coming from is, and this is something that I'm a firm believer in, is strength comes to adversity. And adversity is what you were facing. You were facing a lot of that in your retail. If your boss would have never said that, you might have never jumped into you might have never made the jump. It was a crazy statement. I can't believe the dude even thought to say that to somebody, but he did. And it pushed you maybe over the edge into your business. And you say you had your ducks in a row and stuff, but there was a risk involved. You can line up as much ducks as you want to and be as close to the dock as you want to, but it's still a risk. There's always going to be a risk, but you just have to weigh your options and say, well, let's be miserable for the rest of my life, or let's take the risk of jumping in, creating my own income, and having a family and a life. And it sounds like you made the right decision, obviously. I mean, like you're saying, everything fell in place for you, and it's turned out to be a great thing. And if I'm being honest, most people that I talk to that do it the right way, that's how it ends up for them. They listen, and like you're saying, get your ducks in a row, have a plan laid out, and they figure out the right steps to take, and it ends up working out for them. So that is an awesome story hearing that, because I know there's other guys out there that are thinking that same thing, that are how do I get out of this situation? How do I move on to the next step of my life? And hopefully that'll help them if they're listening in. But so let's kind of transition into a little bit of what your everyday stuff is. So you are a lawn maintenance company, right? You're kind of like me. But you do some fertilization stuff as well, I think, from what I've seen on Instagram and stuff. So kind of tell a little bit, kind of short and quick here about what you actually do every day.
Yeah, so I always wanted to I wanted to do everything grass. That's what I was most passionate about was lawn maintenance, lawn care, like literally like the exact, definition of lawn care, like caring for your lawn, mowing it, fertilizing it, spraying the weeds, dethatching, aerating and seeding. All kinds of stuff. Like at one point I was really thinking about like renovating, like getting into lawn renovations and like repairing big sections, little sections, an entire lawn, killing it off, starting from scratch, which I did that before early on. So I was just really obsessed with grass, and I still am. But in the beginning, I just did kind of everything, and then realized, that I just really wanted to stick with what I enjoy. Like there's a lot of things I just don't enjoy. I don't enjoy the whole landscape design build. I don't the maintenance of it. I'll trim some bushes and all that, but if it's like a whole day project because it's like a massive property with massive bushes, I'm just, even if I have a bunch of guys with me, it's they're struggling just like I am. You know what I mean? Like
it does not.
It's just
trimming bushes does not appeal to me at all, especially not after I cut my fingers off.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there's certain aspects of lawn maintenance and landscape maintenance that overlap, and people do everything, and they'll do your taxes too or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people just go overboard with all the stuff that they'll add on and throw it on the side of their trailer. But so I quickly realized that I need to hone it back into what I really truly enjoy, and also what's going to be the most profitable. And even if it's not the most profitable, like mowing isn't the most profitable by any means, but I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's a good foot in the door for anything else. Like more people, it's more of a commodity, so more people are easy. It's easier for more people to have you come in and just mow their lawn versus treat their yard or do some big project or whatever. So that's why a lot of big guys, that I know around here and just on social media, they still have like a mowing crew or a mowing division, even though they're not stepping foot on a mower.
Just
they're
to make
laying
those
down
connections.
yeah, exactly. They're laying down pavers, or they're designing and installing stuff and all that kind of stuff. They're doing that super high profit margin things. But yeah, they know that that's one, bringing in the reoccurring revenue, the cash flow is the mowing, and as well as it's giving you that entrance to into the customer's life, and then you can start adding on from there. But so I just focused on the lawn maintenance. Like I said, I will trim bushes, for whoever wants that, as long as it's not out of control. But it's basically everything grass. So like I said, mowing, fertilization, weed control, aerating, seed, anything that has to do with grass. But I didn't get a license for irrigation, and I don't want to really do anything that has to do with landscaping. Sometimes if it's like early spring, like late winter type deal, I've still done some things for people, rip out some dead bushes and plant some new stuff or whatever, because we're not doing anything else anyway. But I'm trying to transition away from all that too. Like my ultimate goal, which I'm almost there, is to have as close to year-round jobs as possible. We're not in Florida, we're in Virginia, transition zone, so winter is kind of wacky. There's nothing's really growing and nothing's really snowing, so it is kind of weird. So I'm trying to get as creative as possible and shift things around, paying attention to the big commercial companies that take care of commercial properties, and they have everything exactly the same schedule all the time. They do mulch in February, and in the winter get all that out the way, and no one complains because it just is what it is. That's what we do. And they do all their pruning and get everything cleaned up, and they're putting down pre-emergent, then they're mowing, and they start the whole treatment process all the way through the year in addition to mowing, and they trim bushes a few more times, and and then you have like hard pruning when you're going into the fall and into the winter, more cleanups, leaves obviously. So if you plan it out right, that all those things I just mentioned can take you through a whole 12 months. You're still here in Richmond, Virginia, Central Virginia area. January is still like the deadest month for everyone in the outdoor industry, probably similarly anywhere in the country, unless you're far up north and you're getting pounded with snow. And even some people don't want to do snow, so then they literally are not doing anything in January. So, so I just am trying to focus on having that year-round lawn maintenance business, what makes the most sense. It's obviously still going to be slower in the winter, but I still want to generate that revenue. So I mean, there's dethatching is a new service that I'm going to start. I've been wanting to offer for a long time, but I finally, with different things coming out and Toro Multiforce and the different attachments that they bought from JR Co. or whatever. They have all those things now, like a dethatcher and all that. So, and you put the bagger on the side and you just go to town. You can dethatch a gazillion lawns and bag them all up and keep it moving. So that's a good way to kind of start off the spring season earlier, you know, and get the grass popping earlier and stuff like that. And even some soil amendments is something cool that I've been really researching a lot. And I've always done all this stuff for my own lawn, so I know this stuff works. I know how and when to do it. But when you want to now multiply that to 90-something people, you really want to make sure you have the right. Yeah, you want to make sure you have the right equipment, the right pricing. How long is this really going to take? And of course, you're not going to have it perfect right away. You're going to have to go through some ups and downs in the beginning. But my goal is always to try and minimize as much of that as possible, but also not analysis paralysis type deal either. I don't want to overthink everything and then not get started. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. All lawn maintenance. You know, I try to stay away from anything beyond that. But I have met a lot of people along the way locally, and I'll refer them to different things. You know, like, hey, I know someone that can do your irrigation. I know someone that can do, you know, all the landscaping stuff. You know, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the way that I have gone through it all and been able to do what I want to do, what I enjoy doing the most, and still make a good profit doing it. Like fertilization, we control is super profitable.
Insane.
So I mean, so that's why I added. I wanted to do that anyway. I want to have full control over people's grass. I want it to look beautiful. I want to mow it at the right height, lay those nice stripes down, and treat it properly. And then it's just up to the homeowners to water it properly, and that's a whole another podcast in itself.
Yeah, that's a different ball game.
Yeah,
I saw Christian Schlegel's Instagram story the other day where he had just laid some new sod, but the neighbor had laid new sod as well in the spring. They didn't water, and it was just, I mean, brown, dead as a doornail. I mean, it was dead, and that's, you can only do so much. You can only do so much. But, well, that's cool. I love that. That's pretty much what we are as well. We are a lawn maintenance company. We do some softscaping here and there, some small $1,000, $3,000, $5,000 projects, just like 1 day installs, maybe 2 days, but the lawn maintenance is what I really enjoy as well. And people say mowing's not profitable. It can be profitable if you do it the right way. It absolutely
it's just not
can be
the
profitable.
most profitable.
Yeah,
it's just not the most, but it's still profitable if you know what you're doing. Yeah, for sure. Like route density.
Yeah, that's right. Route density is key, and that's actually going to play into my next question. That's a good segue there. So you have extremely good route density. You're in a lot of neighborhood style homes. So let me ask you this. Do you see a future of you using battery-powered equipment? Because you're not on big properties, and, well, you might have some bigger properties, but most of them are subdivision-style homes where you're running one to the next. And do you think, I mean, obviously, I think battery power is the way of the future, and so does Caleb Allman. He thinks those battery-powered robot mowers are taking over everything. But for you and your business, do you see yourself transitioning to battery power? I saw Toro just came out with some new ones from y'all's event that y'all were at. Do you think you're heading that way anytime in the near future?
Well, I really didn't even think about it for the longest time, even as battery stuff was coming out and all this hype, like I say, quote unquote hype at the GIE of like battery stuff. And no one had ever really nailed it, right? Like the best thing was like, okay, we got battery powered trimmers and blowers, but I mean, how good really is that? And
they're still subpar.
They're still subpar. And then Steel recently came out with like that backpack battery or something that you plug into all the different tools. I'm like, all right, that's cute, I guess. I mean, that's the next attempt, you know, of like not having a separate battery on every single thing. You just have like this massive battery backpack that you walk around with and plug all your tools in. So, I mean, I guess that's another step. But so I just was kind of like looking at the stuff and was like, all right, that's cool, but never really, because I knew it was still I didn't know how far, but I knew it wasn't there yet. So it just wasn't anything that I thought about. But let me tell you, after seeing an electric grandstand Toro mower,
sick.
I mean, it definitely changes the game right there, and I can definitely see. And I was speaking to the Toro distributor of mine that I've worked with for quite some time now. He's the one. Their company works for Toro to supply all of the products to all the dealers and all that. There's just so many different layers of all this stuff. You know, it's not like direct selling type stuff. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of middlemen there, but so he's the one that gets all the equipment there, and he has demos. They're the ones that have the demos if you want to demo stuff and blah blah blah. So I've had a good relationship with him, and I was talking to him about all this, and he was just because it's electric stuff is going to be more expensive, right? But it's significantly more expensive right away.
But
like
in 5
in the short
years,
term,
5-10 years,
right?
it's going to be right where what we're paying for gas powered stuff.
100%. And so you're going to save on maintenance. There's like little to no maintenance,
Yeah.
very little greasing on some miscellaneous motor type parts or whatever. I'm just talking about this grandstand now. I mean, but this is basically
That's pretty much across the board though, from what
everything.
I've seen.
Yeah. Right. When you're talking about these big types of equipment and all that, I mean, there's just a lot of things that you're going to save. Not to mention the fact, less noise, obviously no emissions, and you can promote that and kind of separate yourself from the quote unquote competition.
That's
like, hey,
it.
we're, propane. It's so like that's another thing that the dealers, the distributor said that, there's a lot of guys in certain that are in certain like neighborhoods or certain HOAs or certain properties that require low emissions, and they had to convert everything to propane and all this stuff and blah blah blah, and that's that. Well, this is the next evolution of that. You don't have to worry about swapping out propane tanks. You just have to charge your batteries every night, and that's it. I mean, this new grandstand runtime, they want to get 8 to 9. They're getting 8 to 9 hours of runtime a day out of this thing. I mean, it's
and that's
ridiculous.
year one. That's the thing. That's year one. Imagine 5 to 10 years from now. That's what's crazy.
Right, 100%. And I mean, you think the batteries are gonna probably outlast the mower, if anything. And then you get, so you have all these extra. You get a new mower with new batteries. Now you've got an extra set of batteries, and it just becomes. Once you start layering onto this, you're just going to have all these mower, because they have a Z Master also that we didn't really show that much, but because we weren't able to demo that one yet. It's kind of like prototype mode, but we were able to look at it and talk about it and I have some video. I got to put that out, but it's the same exact thing. There's just extra batteries for that one because it's a little bit bigger of a machine, a little bit more powerful than the grandstand. So it's the exact same battery. So I mean, it's all going to be interchangeable. And so, I mean, I can totally see the benefits. Yes, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow for some people, including myself, to spend almost twice as much, for a piece of equipment. But if you're never going to have to get another piece of equipment anytime soon, and you don't have all that maintenance, you don't have to worry about all the breakdowns, and you don't have to worry about the emissions and all that. And like I said, the other aspect of marketing and getting more clients, different client, maybe you can charge a premium rate. Now you can actually raise your mowing rates to a certain premium. Like, hey, you don't want me to wake up the neighbors. You don't want, gas and you would accidentally spill this or have emissions. And you find those green people that usually want to pay. They kind of go hand in hand. The people that are like going green and, they're paying more for organic. They're paying more for this and the other thing. They're going to pay more for you to.
They're shopping at Whole Foods. They're paying they're not shopping at Walmart. They're getting the high end stuff.
100%. So they're going to pay for someone premium if that's an option, which that isn't really an option yet. So if that becomes an option, that could be you. You could be the one getting the premium rates and just. I'm
excited. I'm excited to see where it goes because I mean I feel like we're living. I know we are living in like the transition stage. We are about to see that, and it's really going to take off. And I'm really interested to see. So we're talking about how it's more expensive right now, almost twice as expensive right now. Right. I'm really interested to see in 5 to 10 years if they become cheaper than what we're paying now, because it's so much more simple. Like it's so simple. I mean, and the technology is insane, but. I think honestly, I'll be interested to see if they become cheaper than what we're paying for gas powered engines right now, gas powered mowers. And I cannot imagine being able to hop on a grandstand and go to town on a subdivision lawn at 6 o'clock in the morning and not wake anybody up. And like you're saying, no emissions. That blows my mind. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for battery powered.
Yeah, and then you're really getting ahead of yourself there with the cheaper, because I know for a fact that certain companies will probably be lowering the prices in a certain amount of time because they manufacture their own stuff.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to pay a third party for this, that, or the other thing, then you can pass those savings on to the end user, onto the customer. So initially there'll probably be that sticker shock, but then like after things start coming out in the market and everyone's duplicating or whatever, then, the actual, like the top again will start kind of going, they'll be able to be more competitive again by lowering their prices a little bit, because they have this kind of like the market share on certain things that like, hey, these are our own things that we made, so we don't have to worry. You guys have to pay us for this stuff, or you have to get it somewhere else, which means your expenses are higher, so your prices have to stay higher. But guess what? We don't have to do that because it's all in house.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave that there. I don't want to. I don't know how much exclusivity is. I didn't read all the fine print on my thing. So
yeah.
But
can't say
I
too
know
much.
those. Yeah, I know those conversations have definitely been said with some folks. So so yeah, you're right. You're right there. I don't know if it'll ever be cheaper than a gas thing, but it'll definitely be more competitive. In the initial, like, holy cow,
And even if it's not cheaper, the sticker price, it's cheaper in the long run. I mean, the amount of fuel you're saving, the amount oil changes, belts. I mean, like, it just blows my mind. It's simple, but the technology is insane. How far we've come, and I'm excited to see how everybody implements it in their business. And the thing is, I'm ready to get to the 5 to 10 year point where we can get these batteries a higher runtime, maybe, and because that's my problem is I would love to go battery powered, but we have a lot of we have acreage down here, and so I can't. I mean, I've got properties where it's taking me 3 hours to mow one property, and so it's like I can't justify making the jump yet. But if I was in a subdivision route like you had, I would definitely be looking, and I'm sure you are as well, especially being in with Toro and all that. So, excited to see where the future's going there. But man, we're already coming up on an hour here. This has been a super fun episode. Time
flies.
It does, especially when you're having good conversation. So you might not have listened to the podcast in the past, but I've got one question that I always ask everybody here. It's kind of a new segment I'm doing at the end of the show, and I didn't warn you or anything. This is just going to be off the cuff. So this is honestly, I think, the question that I like to hear the most of from all my guests is, what's your why? What is your why in being an entrepreneur, running your own green industry business, doing social media, whatever aspect of it you want to look at it as? What is your why?
I just wanted to have more control over my life. I kind of felt like a prisoner. Like I literally felt like I don't even know I guess a slave to the life that I had at the time. And I never felt more in control. Now, obviously there's ups and downs, like you had mentioned, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. My daughter said it best way back then when she was really young at that time. She said, Daddy still has stressful days, but it's his stress. It's his own stress. He's the owner of the company. It's a different kind of stress than the stress that he had to deal with when he worked for somebody else.
You're getting the rewards from that stress. You're not you're not feeding somebody else's pocketbook.
Right. But in addition to that, it's also, I have more control over that stress. I can choose to continue. Like, there's always going to be new stresses, and there's certain stresses that you can't avoid. Like if it rains, right? I mean, you can try and plan and prepare and come up with different things, and it's going to be stressful. You just have to convince yourself, you have to check yourself when that happens. Like, okay, it rained, whatever. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Let's see what the new game plan is. Communicate to the customers who should already know it's pouring rain. We can't be there, but they might want to know when you're going to be there and all that stuff. And we'll figure it out. It is a little bit stressful, but just work yourself through it and don't let it overwhelm you with stress, because it's not something that you can control. You can control how you react to stuff and respond to things, but you can't control the things that are happening to you. But by leaving retail and starting my own business, I did have a lot more control, because I can pick and choose what customers I want. I can pick and choose what services I want to do, what areas I want to work in, what kind of equipment I want to use. I can choose my schedule. Do I want to work at 7 a.m? Do I want to get started at 9 a.m? Do I want to work till dark? Do I want to end at 4? Like whatever. Do I want to work weekends or not? I mean, I worked weekends all the time, so I refused to work weekends in the beginning. I mean, the beginning of lawn care, I worked all the time because I was desperate to get money. But then when I started kind of getting a good schedule, I'm like, I'm not working weekends unless it's absolutely necessary. Like it rains 2-3 days in a row or something during the week. Because I've had way too many weekends that I had to work so many weekends. Like I was kind of traumatized from that. But I had that control, right? I'm the one that could make my own schedule and so on. So my why is to just have control over my life. I mean, I went on more field trips with my kids in the first 2 years of my business than I did the whole previous 10 years of their life.
That's what it's about.
It's crazy.
That is exactly what it's about right there.
Going on vacations constantly, going on 2 or 3 vacations a year, whether it's just to Virginia Beach, 2 hours away for little to no money for the day or for the week and stay at a hotel. But versus flying somewhere, or actually investing, saving up to go to Disney World or something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
taking the kids there, like stuff that it was just really hard for me to do before. Now I can just plan it the way I want to plan it,
Yeah. I love it. That's awesome. That is a great why. You're in control. You get to spend time with your family and make those memories, because I guarantee you, all those times that you went on those vacations, you didn't. There's not one of them you would have looked back and been like, I wish I was working. I wish I would have been. I wish I would have been in my king size office at JCPenney dealing with somebody else's stress and taking it all on your shoulders. So that's really cool. Well, man, we're gonna wrap this up really quick here. Before we go though, hit on right what's coming up here. We got GIE right around the corner. Kind of tell us about you got a lot of big things happening there. Tell us about what's going on up there, what you're gonna be a part of.
Yeah, well, the GIE, I mean, we've all been kind of, like waiting for the GIE. Things were a little crazy last year, obviously, in the whole world, and we're still not out the woods 100% yet, but things are a lot better, and the GIE is making things as safe and as comfortable and as accessible as they possibly can, and it's just going to be a great time. And every year we've had a meetup that's grown, and I kind of took it over a couple of years in when a lot of key people kind of went different ways. I didn't want to see it disappear because it was so important to me and all the people that went to it. And we now call that the GIE Rally, and kind of took it to a bigger level, bigger venue. And so it's grown year after year. 2019 was the last year for everything, because prior to the pandemic, and we had over 600 people show up at the location that we had back then. And now we have a new location. It's going to be at Copper and Kings Distillery. Hopefully we're going to have, hundreds of people again show up. I mean, it's kind of up in the air who's really going to go and who isn't. Everyone's kind of doing the best that they can. Every year is a different struggle, but once you go, it's hard not to go again, because it's just such a good time. The GIE itself is a great place to demo and try equipment, talk to the people that make the equipment, and then also network with all of us, all of each other, folks like you and me and everyone else that we see on social media, and make friends with, and meet new people sometimes in some cases at the GIE, and all the different networking meetup events, such as the GIE Rally, which is every Thursday night, every year on Thursday night. So again, it'll be Thursday night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Copper and Kings Distillery. All of that information is on the Road to the GIE Facebook group. So I, encourage everyone to go on Facebook and just start typing in Road to, and it'll probably just pop right up, because we've got over 2,000 fanatics, GIE fanatics. I mean,
waiting to go.
And it's like a very niche group, man. You either love the GIE, you either are going to the GIE, or you want to go to the GIE, or you just can't get enough of listening and watching about the GIE or whatever. Like a lot of people on other sides of the world that can't really logistically get over here, especially right now with everything going on and borders and different issues going on with the pandemic. So they definitely feed off of that group to see what's going on, and those that are going can see what is going to be happening when. So that's why it's a good place to go. You can ask questions in the group. People will answer. The GIE themselves are on the group, as well as many companies, many brands. Echo, Steel, all these different companies are on there. Skag, or all these different brands that help out with the community and do different things. They're on there answering questions. The GIE is answering questions that we can answer. So it's a good forum for everyone to go to for GIE. So everything that I was just talking about is on there. Up at the top of the announcements is pinned for the GIE Rally, for you to go ahead and register for that. There's an Eventbrite for you to register. You can pick your shirt size and all that. Gives me just a better idea of how many people are going to be there, and what size, how much of what size shirts to have, and it's still first come, first serve. Because I mean, if more people show up than registered, well, guess what? I mean, it is what it is. You get the shirts you get, but it's a free venue. It's free. You have to register, but you'll see that it's $0 because it's free. Because we have a ton of great sponsors that are taking care of the venue, the shirts that everyone gets, and the food. The only thing that you need to pay for is the cash bar. If you want to get a drink and relax or whatever, there's going to be multiple bars because it's a distillery, so that'll be a good time. And it's a really nice place, and there's pictures and the link, website for the venue. You can check all that out for yourself too. So that's all on the Road to the GIE Facebook page, as well as 2019 was the first second event that I started because I wanted to get the GIE involved. They wanted to be involved. They took notice quickly. A couple of years into all of us YouTubers, quote unquote, walking around with cameras and doing all this stuff, and they went from like, people sticking their hand in front of our cameras and saying, get out of our booth, to like, hey, can you come in our booth?
Yeah, we'll pay
Can
you to
come
show up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's complete 180. So, and the GIE recognized that real quick a couple years in, and they're like, what the heck? And they kind of started identifying key people in the community, and they found out about the rally and me and everything. And I got hooked up with them and started developing some good relationships with the folks at the GIE and the whole, like, huge umbrella involved there. There's so many different components and people in charge, like the OPEI organization that's in charge of like the whole industry, from a safety and all kinds of different things benefit. I've got an episode on my podcast with Chris Kaiser, the president, explaining all about that a week or so ago.
Yeah, that was a great episode. I listened to that one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's a great guy and very informative, and so he he just kind of spells it all out for you there. But so they want to get involved, but they didn't want to like mess anything up. So I'm like, well, the rally is for the community, by the community, offsite, but it's during the GIE, so that's why the GIE rally. But it's a totally separate thing. Meet and greet, just having a good time, hanging out, meeting your favorite people. If you want someone on YouTube, you've been following, or Instagram or podcast, everyone's most likely going to be there at some point. So you can just hang out and have a good time. But on Friday morning at 8 a.m., so you go right back into, we go from Thursday night right into Friday morning, because there's not a whole lot of opportunities left. So we got Friday morning, bring people back to the show, where attendance kind of dies off on Friday because people stay out way too late on Thursday. And then they kind of stumble on Friday afternoon or whatever. But the GIS shortened the time on Friday because they extended the time on Wednesday. So it used to be Thursday, Friday were the 2 full days for the GIE, but a lot of people were saying that just wasn't enough. So they kind of made it seem like it's more, but the same amount of hours.
Yeah,
it's the same amount of hours, but they spread it out. So they open it up now on Wednesday, the inside at like 3:00. From like 3 to 7. So you got like 4-hour preview to walk around the inside and kind of get like a jump start on that part. And then Thursday and Friday, that the inside and the outside are open, but on Friday it closes at like 12 or 1 or something like that instead of 4 or 5. So it's half a day. So it's like same amount of hours, but attendance died off on Friday anyway. Like I said, people were catching their flights Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So I mean, there's just a lot of transitioning going on Friday. So it made sense for them to shorten that up anyway and extend Wednesday, because people are coming in early because they want to get a head start and everything, get a good night's sleep. So Friday morning is a live panel that we did on Friday, and I changed it to this year to a podcast live panel. So we'll be recording live podcasts, myself, the LCR Media Podcast, Paul Jameson with the Green Industry Podcast, and Caleb Allman with the Kid Contractor Podcast. All three of us will record 3 separate podcasts in a row with in front of a live studio audience with live panel guests that we such as Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut, Jason Creel. We've got the Spencer, Sean and Savannah. We've got Corey Ballard. So they're going to be different people on different podcasts as guests, and we're going to be interviewing them just like you and I are doing right now, but in front of a live studio audience on stage at the GIE in the Expo Center. And that's also free with your badge because it's in the Expo, and it's an hour before they open. So you have to have a badge to get in. So that you can go onto the main ballroom floor. It's right there on the first floor. It's actually where the keynote speaker is going to be on Thursday. They're giving us the same room. So it's going to be a fun time. We're going to be there from 8 to 9:30. And then you can just go right on into the expo and kind of finish off your day, your trip, try whatever you want to try, or check out whatever you didn't get a chance to check out, or you want to double check or whatever. So that's going to be a good time. And again, all the details for that is also in the Road to the GIE Facebook group up at the top in the announcements. If I rambled on too fast for you to catch all that stuff. So you can definitely go on there. All the stuff's going to be on there. And we just are going to continually update that and talk about that. People are constantly asking questions the closer we get to the actual GIE. So I wanted a place to streamline all the communication. So those of you that are going to the GIE kind of know what's going on, right? Yeah. You're not like relying on someone saying something, making a YouTube video about it, or, oh gosh, how many posts do I have to go through Instagram to find the most current update for where this person's going to be at the GIE or whatever, So I have it all in the Road to the GIE Facebook group so that everyone can kind of know what's going on and keep it streamlined. So
if you have any questions, go check out the Facebook group, and that'll answer pretty much everything that you need. And if you have any more, you can ask them in there. And somebody else, I'm sure, out of 2,000 people, somebody's got the answer to something. So
exactly.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, tell us where can we find you, and just kind of as we wrap this up here, where can we find you and connect with you if anybody's out there and hasn't heard of your podcast or anything like that?
Yeah, well, the newest endeavor is the podcast, LCR Media Podcast. I've been thinking about having a podcast for many years before Paul even started his podcast, but it was kind of like glimmer in his eye. So I was asking him about it, and he was like, "Man, it's a lot to make it super professional." Like, so I was like, "All right, man, I'm just gonna put that on the back burner." And
Yeah.
he just kind of went through all the motions and made it all what it is now, excellence in broadcasting. And then I was like, I mean, maybe, and I did a lot of podcasts with him, went on a road tour and all that. And I was like, you know what? Now they got podcast boards and all these things to make it portable. You don't have to like do stuff on your computer or have all these fancy equipment anymore. So things have really come a long way in a short amount of time to make it a lot more user friendly to make a podcast. So it was a good time for me to kind of jump into it finally and create the LCR Media Podcast. Mr. Producer exists, who didn't exist a couple of years back before Paul started his pod. I mean, he existed, but he wasn't producing podcasts. He was just running the. He was running.
Paul was making them up.
Yeah, he was running the radio station that Paul worked for at that time, and then he was like, Paul was asking him like how to do stuff, and he was like, "You want me to just do it for you? Like, you just pay me and I'll do it for you." And he's like, "Sweet," and he became Mr. Producer.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So that he's a big help for me too, because it's less that I have to do on the post end. I can just get this content, give it to him, and he takes care of the rest. So LCR Media Podcast on all the platforms. It's super, super fun. The same kind of thing like this, interviewing pros such as yourself. And I kind of focus on certain topics and find people that would be good to talk about those topics, in my opinion, anyway. And I get them on the show. And if it's someone new, such as yourself, like we're obviously going to have the origin story on there too. But a lot of times I'll have repeated guests because I'm talking about specific things that those guests probably have a lot of experience with, and they're just good guests in general. So that's kind of what the show is all about. Just a little different spin on the traditional podcast that we have. But I'm also on all the other social media platforms, right? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Lawn Care Rookie or LCR. Will you'll be able to find it that way. I mean, I do have LCR Media also on Instagram and Facebook, just to keep some stuff separate. But Lawn Care Rookie, LCR, you'll find me all over the place either way.
Awesome. Well, that is too cool to hear how you got started into everything today, and hear about all your endeavors that you're in. You're in a lot of different buckets. You got a lot of different things going on, and busy time of the year for sure. But it was awesome hearing from you, Naylor. Thank you so much for your time coming on today. Guys, if you haven't connected with him or know who Naylor is, LCR Media, go check out his podcast. Go follow him on Instagram, shoot him a DM, and tell him how much you enjoyed the interview. And go listen to his podcast. His is more professional than mine. His is very well spoken. He's got a lot of good guests on, and I really enjoy the LCR Media podcast. So once again, guys, thank you so much for listening today. If you would you go leave those ratings and reviews for the podcast? It really helps with social proof and grow this thing and reach a bigger community. And I know Naylor can attest to that. Go leave those for Naylor too, because we don't just say it to say it. It actually helps. It actually helps get us out there to a bigger audience. And as I always say, just want to grow this community one relationship at a time. So I'm looking forward to what the future holds. Looking forward to GIE. It's actually my first trip. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
I didn't.
Yeah, it's my first trip, so I'm excited to check it all out and see what it's all about. So I'm going in. I'm going to be amped up. I'm ready to go. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Naylor, thanks again for your time, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I hope you all have a great day. Whenever you're listening, go crush it with what you're doing. If it's the weekend, hang out with your family, have a good time, go to church, maybe watch some football or something. But just always remember that why are you doing it? That's my biggest thing. Why are you doing it? I have my reasons why. Naylor told us his reasons why. And figure that out early on. Figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And help somebody else out there, and just take your business to the next level and keep on crushing it every day you're out there working. But thanks again for listening, and we will catch up with y'all here on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green Landscapes podcast. We know you have many other podcast options to choose from, and don't take it for granted that you chose to spend some time with us today. You can connect with Jeremiah Jennings at Growing Green Landscapes on Instagram, or use the link in the show description. Don't forget to smash the follow button on the podcast and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We hope you crush it in your business and hope to catch you on our next episode.